All right, so we have the January 7th meeting of the Conservation Commission. We'll stand and salute the flag, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I have a microphone right here.
Let's put this close to you.
I don't want to get feedback. All right, septic repair for Joe Prezera's notice of intent, SE 802777, 155 Plymouth Boulevard, replace septic system in the buffer zone to the pond.
This is just an aerial.
Hey, Bert. The above notices.
Thank you, Joe.
Good evening, folks. Happy New Year.
How are you?
Less power and cold than I usually do, as I recall. Mark Roberts, Analysis and Design Engineering. I'm here tonight to present a septic repair plan for the Prezera's Realty 2 Trust LLC, located 155 Plymouth Boulevard, abutting the South Wartucket Pond. And what we've got here is, this is a small parcel of land, about 12,000 and change square feet. It's got an existing 3-bedroom with a cesspool that is in need of replacement and upgrade. That's located over here in front of the house. I'll call this the front and this the rear to the east. What we're proposing to do is put in an advanced treatment system, an Advantech system preceded by a 2-compartment tank that'll be discharging to a proposed bottomless sand filter that's to the west of the structure, between the structure and the South Wartucket Pond. The proximity to the edge of the pond is approximately 27 feet, and we do have a flood elevation associated with that I've shown here and highlighted in the magenta color, the pink color over here to show that setback, which is approximately 16.5 feet clear of the base flood elevation. Essentially, all of this activity for the bottomless sand filter lies within the 100-foot buffer zone to the resource area of the pond, and just about the 100-foot buffer, which I apologize I did not show on the plan, brings us right about to the location where the tanks are currently proposed. That is a very small seated area just below a retaining wall, supporting the concrete driveway and parking area that's above, with walkways going down. There's really not many other locations to give consideration to for the system. My primary emphasis in the design was maintaining the setbacks from the wells that I've shown here throughout. We are able to maintain the 100-foot setback to all of the wells and the 50-foot setback to where tanks are located. So there's really not much option. We are going to require that the existing deck's going to have to be modified to accommodate the bottomless sand filter. Very tight work. We brought this plan through the Board of Health. It's been endorsed. And those waivers that we were seeking were primarily associated with the setbacks of the system to the abutting property lines. The land was surveyed by Mr. Nicholas, so we have good boundaries, and we had very little room to work with on it.
Thank you, Mark.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, members, this is Joe Prezera's Realty Trust on 155 Plymouth Boulevard. Type of filing, this is a notice of intent application filed by Mark Rodrigues from Analysis and Design Engineering. The report date is January 2nd, 2025. There is a file number with no adverse comments. It's SE 802777. I'm not quite sure on the status of the Board of Health. Is it a...
It went through the hearing, and I was issued paperwork today.
Thank you. So there goes for the board that it is approved. Detailed description of the work. The owner has filed to repair the septic system on the property located on South Wartucket Pond. Proposed repair will require removing some of the existing deck. The old cesspool will also be removed, which is within the new septic tank location. An Advantex tank system will be constructed in line with the septic tank. The sewer line will connect to the bottomless sand filter that will be installed at the rear and 30 feet plus or minus from the pond. Erosion controls will be installed around the work area and shall remain until the area is stabilized. Again, this basically is a buffer zone activity. Recommendations: the Westport Conservation Commission should approve the proposed septic repair with standard conditions for file number SE 802777. That is all, Mr. Chairman.
No questions? All right. Any questions from the audience? All right. Any questions from the table? Not a motion?
So I'll move to approve the plan at 155 Plymouth Boulevard with standard conditions.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right, that's unanimous, Al. Thank you. First hearing, Jeffrey Cornell, RDA, 1782 Drift Road, demolish cottage and garage in the riverfront area and replace home with minor grading in the V zone. Lenny, how are you tonight?
She's not good.
Happy?
Len Potter, Westport Environmental for Jeffrey Cornell, 1782 Drift Road. And we had a very long walk from Drift Road all the way down to the river, along the road. There was two existing buildings in the property. There was a garage with 2 bedrooms above located here, and a 2-bedroom cottage located down here. They both were demolished with a permit from the building department. The buffer zone was just in front of the cottage here. The 200-foot riverfront is shown in blue. The flood zone is in pink here. This side is a VE zone, elevation 13, and that side is Zone X. So everything from here is Zone X. So the replacement septic system, the septic tank, Advantex units, and the main house itself are all out of the resource areas. The deck, about half of it, will be inside the flood zone. The elevation of the top of foundation here is going to be at 21. Just put the floor somewhere around 22, well above the flood zone. And the deck is going to be right around, somewhere around 21 and a half. And that'll be on piers. I do have to take care of the roof runoff, stormwater. I've got 2 stormwater pits here tied into the gutter downspout system. And that's pretty much it. The driveway exists, comes all the way down to here. It'll be reconfigured into a parking area in this area right here. And it's all been, the Board of Health has approved it. And go from there. That's it.
Thank you, Len.
Mr. Chairman, this is Jeffrey Cornell, 1782 Drift Road. This is a request for determination of applicability filed by Westport Environmental Design. The report date is January 2nd, 2025. There is no file number with this project. This is Board of Health approved, as Lenny mentioned. Site visit was also on January 2nd, 2025. The owner has filed to demolish a cottage within the riverfront area. The request is coming in after the fact. The cottages have been removed. The removal was completed and the building disposed of in a dumpster and removed from the site. A new house, garage, and septic will be constructed outside the riverfront, but within the flood zone. The deck will just be within this flood zone limit, and the home entirely out of that limit, as you can see from Lenny's plan. Erosion control should be installed along the demolished structures and rain to the area stabilized. I did discuss with Lenny, and I verified that they actually had dug and left a berm along the rear of the property adjacent to where the cottage was removed to protect any erosion from heading towards the river. And they also had the required silt sock staked in place. So those are currently on site. Resource areas, this is a riverfront area and flood zone activity. Basically, buffer zone if you're closer to the river's edge. Recommendations: the Westport Conservation Commission should approve the after-the-fact work and issue a negative Box 2 determination and maintain the erosion controls around the demolished structures and seed all disturbed areas. That is all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions, Lenny?
No questions.
All right. Anybody have a question at the table? A motion?
I'll make a motion to approve pending Board of Health approval.
No, they got that already. That's good.
Oh, you got it, okay, I'm sorry. Let's see what else. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Negative box 2,
Negative box
determinate.
2.
There you go.
Yep.
Do you have a second?
Second it.
Thanks, Bert. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's unanimous, Leo. Thank you, Lenny.
Thank you.
We commend the landowner for pulling his house that far away.
Gotta get some other quotes on it.
Yeah, no, appreciate that.
Have a good night.
Thank
night.
you. Good night, Len.
Lois Small, notice of intent, 94 East Beach Road, perform beach maintenance. Anybody here for Mr. Small or
We're
Miss Small?
continuing that, Mr. Chairman, for a requirement of Natural Heritage's submittal, which they haven't done yet. So I'm requesting to continue to January 21st. And we may continue it if they don't get a word from Natural Heritage. But for right now, please continue
All
that
right.
hearing for Lewis Small.
Looking for a motion to continue to January 21st of 2025.
I'll make a motion to continue to January 21st.
Motion from Jason, do you have a second?
Second.
Second from Jake. All in favor? Opposed? That's unanimous. Long-built homes, RDA 632 Old County Road, construct dwelling, septic, well, driveway, grading, and drainage system in the buffer zone. How are you tonight?
Very good, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my name is Bob Forsch from Zenith Consulting Engineers. This is a project, as you mentioned, on Old County Road. It's a proposed single-family house with a garage.
Hold on a second, I just called, did I call Old County? Oh, I did, I'm sorry, I had the wrong, okay, all right, I'm sorry. You-
It's not my project, so I could have got it.
No, you're on the right.
And on this property, my understanding is the owner of the house is the father, and they're proposing this house for the son. So they're two separate lots, this is 624 and 632. There is, when we saw this, there was some wetlands vegetation on this side of the site. This is right off the edge of Joanne's Way. So we had a wetland scientist go out there and flag it out. Flags are shown on this plan. The flags come around upon each other, and it's an isolated depression. It does have wetlands vegetation in it. When we ran the calculations for it to determine whether or not it was an isolated land subject to flooding, it was significantly smaller than that. In fact, it's mostly on the wetlands vegetation occurs on a slope that continues to slope in this direction. When we ran the calculations, it came out to somewhere in the neighborhood of 600 cubic feet of volume, and we need over 10,000 for it to be classified as an isolated land subject to flooding. So we're contending that this is a non-jurisdictional isolated depression. Regardless, we're not proposing anything in it, we're not proposing to fill, we're gonna leave it alone. And we have silt sock erosion control barrier proposed as well. My understanding is that this is, the septic system has already been approved by the Board of Health as well as the stormwater control system that the Board of Health requires.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members, Long-Built Homes, 632 Old County Road. This is a request for determination of applicability filed by Zenith Engineering. The report date is January 2nd, 2025. As the gentleman mentioned, this is Board of Health approved. This is an adjacent separate lot adjacent to the parents, as the engineer representative mentioned. The family sold it to their son. Long-Built is the applicant because he is constructing the property and the home for the son. So the description of work: the applicant is filed to construct a single-family home, well, and septic on a parcel of land located at 632 Old County Road. The property was shown on the adjacent subdivisions of Joanne's Way to be a wetland or to have a wetland within that area. The area was reviewed by Stephen Schmiel, a wetland consultant. The area is an isolated vegetated area that exists in a low area along the property lines. The area is not of the volume to be protectable under the Wetlands Protection Act as an isolated land subject to flooding. As the applicant's representative mentioned, this area is only 600 cubic feet. An isolated land subject to flooding needs to be over 10,000 to meet the criteria and have a volume of at least 6 inches. This area doesn't even really have a volume, as he mentioned. It has a slight slope to it that brings that flow away from and towards the rear of the uplands. So this was something I think that occurred adjacent to the farming wall, and having animals and farms, they usually congregate along the wall, and sometimes these depressions are created. So it was never argued when Joanne's Way was accepted, or was it really looked at, except the applicant just called it what it was. So this, again, to me, officially is not of such and is not protectable under the Wetlands Protection Act. The area, again, flows to the west, is not connected to any resource area. The area will not be filled with this proposed work. Erosion controls will be installed along the edge, and the limit of all disturbance will be up gradient. The Board of Health stormwater control basin is shown to limit any runoff to the road and overflows to this isolated area. So this application is making a determination if this area is subject to the regulations, in essence. And they've made wonderful measures to, you can see the limit of work with that dashed line. They've even made a significant setback to maintain that area as it is, which I appreciate. So the Westport Conservation recommendation should issue a negative box 4 determination for the proposed activity. And this again has Board of Health approval.
All right, thank you. Do you have any questions?
No,
You're fine?
it's an
Okay.
excellent, synopsis.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions or a motion?
Move we issue a negative box 4 determination for the proposed activity.
Second.
That was Bert and Phil. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Are you for or opposed?
I'm opposed. I'd also just consider a continuance. And I know this isn't your project, so don't take this, personally, but week in, week out, we have these plans, and it seems like a lot of them are congregated right along that stretch of Old County Road. These lots are all sopping wet. We have people complaining that their yards are getting flooded. And, some of these projects might have to go out for like third-party review, or I just think that some of these projects require a little bit more oversight, because they have ramifications on the abutters, and there's a lot of them in a kind of relatively small area along that Old County Road area. And the Sanford, we talked about it earlier, the whole string of projects, and Longbuilt was part of a lot of them on Sodom Road. It's just when you drive along there, we approved a lot of things that we probably shouldn't have approved. So I just think that some of these projects require a little bit more scrutiny than maybe we've given them in the past. So I don't want to, I don't like to get involved in appeals and big, long, drawn-out bureaucracy. So that's why maybe a continuance would be an option. We can kind of bounce some things around for a couple of weeks and maybe.
Well, what's the point of continuing it, though?
In this particular case, this is basically a puddle, and that's why we came here in front of you. Mr. Capone suggested, in actuality, we didn't even need to come before this board, but we agreed with Chris that it was a good idea to show you what we were doing and show you that there are, in case anybody were to drive by and saw wetlands vegetation, we agree that it's there. And we had our wetlands scientists look at it, and you've had Mr. Capone look at it, and everybody is in agreement that it's not jurisdiction. So there really wouldn't even need to be a filing here.
There is no buffer zone, in other words, in reference to what he's mentioning. So we are making the determination the area is not subject to the regulations. We're not necessarily making a determination of the proposed single-family home, in essence, because it does not fall within the jurisdiction of this commission.
So then you're confident that if DEP looked at this, if we vote it down and it gets appealed, that we would lose the appeal?
I would say yes, based on the background. They did hire a third party, Steve Schmiel, who's a well-known wetlands consultant, and he kind of agreed to what he shows here, is that having the vegetation present, but there is not the holding capacity in order for it to be determined to be a protectable wetland. So therefore, it is not jurisdictional.
All right, I'll take the path of least resistance for everyone involved, and I'll change my vote.
I'll remain consistent in my opposition. I think the continued construction of Westport via developers and engineers to find ways to jam a house into every possible lot, including Longfield Homes, is a disgrace. And I will continue to oppose all these projects as they come before me.
Okay. So we'll just take the vote again.
I would agree.
Yeah. So all those, who made the motion? Was it Bert?
Bert made the motion,
Phil,
yes.
second.
And I second.
Do you guys still stand on your motion and your second?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. That's for Jake voted against. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, you know, it doesn't do anyone any good when they build these places and then 2 years later they've got retaining walls that are falling over, and it doesn't really do the homeowner any justice either. It's an injustice for the town, it's, you know.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Neil Gomes, notice of intent, 735 Sodom Road, remove failed retaining wall and replace with modified rockfill slope and buffer zone.
I don't think you should sign, do you?
Greg, how you doing tonight?
Cross it out.
Good, this is the house that's ready for the retaining wall to
See?
There we go.
You shut me up. That's what we're on for.
It's gonna be job security for you guys, every couple of years.
You should have got on the agenda before
I should have stayed home.
You got a cold?
Just up there. You went back to the round table and see what else we have. I'm gonna stay there.
On Sodom Road. Like,
You must have known I was coming up.
I didn't. I just, every time I drive by there, I was telling Chris, I think to myself, as a town, we have to be better than this. Some places don't belong developed.
So, anyway, we all know where this is, and I think we probably all know the retaining wall fell over. I think the photo around, we can take a look at it.
We're here to correct the situation and make a correct, safe.
I just answered the phone. Anyway,
You tearing the house down? Is that what you're gonna do?
what's that?
You tearing the house down?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, yes. Anyway, for record, Greg Nicholas, South Coast Engineering from Neil Gomes, 735 Sodom Road. And what we have here is the existing house, very steep slope in the back, probably you've all seen this. There was a site plan done in 2015 by SciTech. It was a different house, showed grading in the back, no walls. I can tell you that these walls were not engineered, the blocks that were used, you don't even the right blocks for this kind of retaining wall. And here's the remains over here, this is the extent, rectangles you see, are the walls, the blocks that all fell over. So, here's the existing conditions. We have the BBW here, there are still remnants of the flags on trees, able to fall quite easily. Stone wall, buffer zone, right up over here. So what Mr. Gomes did was wisely hire a structural engineer to reevaluate the project, Tim Sullivan. And what he came up with, rather than do retaining walls, it's a riprap slope. A little bit greater than 2:1. The stone size, minimum 18 inches, 75% of the stones are going to be minimum weight of 500 pounds. This is real riprap, it's not modified rock fill. Similar to what you see on the Ingersoll bridges, namely the Fontaine Bridge at the end of 88, it's a similar situation, however, it's not a 14-foot rock from top to bottom.
All the blocks will be removed. We're gonna be putting, some fabric, over the denuded slope. We'll tow the, stones in down here, and it'll be laid as shown in the plan. There's a concrete pad up here, which is visible in some of the photographs. That's been compromised according to Mr. Sullivan. The foundation of the home hasn't. Closest, work to the wetland is right here, it's 15 feet away from the toe of the slope at this point. We were proposing, a line of water around here, which is shown to protect the resource area. Talking to Mr. Capone, he said because of the steepness of the slope, he'd like to see a double line there, or perhaps a sedimentation fence behind the wall. No objection to that. So that's pretty much the overview.
Thank you, Greg.
You've seen the photos going around, so this, again, was a fault of, I think, stormwater being directed towards the wall, and the season we had 2 years ago, the wall just toppled over from the saturated soil. So the homeowner needs to understand that there needs to be some control, and you know, roof gutters should not be dumping in a manner that caused what I believe did this specifically. We don't have a file number, we're still pending that. Yes. So this will be contingent on the file number, but there is a little concern because we have a town fee that Greg added into his fee, and they couldn't understand what Greg was filing under. So this is Neil Gomes, 735 Sodom Road, notice of intent application filed by Greg Nicholas from South Coast Engineering. The report date is January 3rd, 2025. File number is pending. Site visit was also on January 2nd, 2025. The applicant has filed to repair the failed block retaining wall installed behind the home. The retaining wall became undermined by water infiltration and the wall toppled over. The structural engineer has provided a detailed drawing to install a stone riprap slope with a 2-to-1 grade. The existing blocks will be removed and an 8-ounce geotextile fabric will be installed. Large boulders will be stacked to fit tightly with smaller stones placed between. Erosion control shall be staked hay bales backed by or up against a silt fence entrenched at the base of the slope. They probably could do this with the wattle, Greg, but I'd like to see something entrenched. All roof runoff needs to be directed away from the area to prevent any future damage. So that is something the homeowner needs to take into consideration. And also that just about anything the homeowner does on this property is within our jurisdiction. Correct. And there's still, again, it needs to understand that there's not allowed to expand or add more fill. So I think this way this house was situated was a little further back, Greg, right, from what was originally proposed?
Probably not further back, but this wasn't here, so I mean,
So,
this part was...
I got you. So again, that is my general concerns. I believe with recommendations and standard conditions, the Westport Conservation should approve, pending file number, approve a riprap 2-to-1 slope to replace the failed retaining block wall. Special conditions that an entrenched hay bale silt fence combo be utilized, and the area be stabilized before that is removed, Mr. Chairman. So this motion should be made contingent on a file number. And this is to protect the resource area. The way it is now, the resource area is being affected by runoff. So this riprap will help to stabilize that and would be much better off, and was, again, what was originally proposed for this property. And the homeowner chose a different avenue.
Question for you. What, you said the roof gutters go directly, do they go into any stormwater management, or was that part of the original plan? I mean, I'm not gonna...
The original plan was, nothing was shown on the original plan, any infiltration units, but the homeowner had the water going right off that cement slab and draining right down through the wall. So I think he's able to put it off each corner of the house. He can divert those in a manner away from that and allow it to dissipate across the property.
He could just simply direct it in this direction somehow.
Oh, just even if he just puts it left and right, I mean, it has plenty of area. This house sits on pretty much a knoll, and the water basically, as you can see, 2-to-1 from all three sides.
Yeah.
The wall should have been engineered, obviously.
Correct.
When was it built? I'm surprised we didn't require roof runoff into drywalls.
At the time of that original order, if you wish to request it, you can, Mr. Chairman. I don't think the
Well-
homeowner, if it's something you wish to have, that is certainly something they could do.
So could we condition the rebuilding in terms of sequencing it so that the, the redirection of the, release the roof runoff be completed and subject to your inspection before any work is done to rebuild the wall?
That would be fine.
I think that's what I was getting at. It's a good idea.
Perfect. If you
All
want
right.
to make a motion to that effect, I think the homeowner is here. I believe he's listening, so he can understand your concerns.
Was this a 61A release back in the day? Is this, we had a bunch of them recently, but,
These was part of 17 lots, Mr. McGovern,
yeah.
Form A.
It probably was.
So, you know, again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but we don't have a storm runoff problem. It's a people problem. We had 61A, which allows an investor to claim to be a farmer, and then he sells off a bunch of lots under 61A. He pays a few years back taxes, and then we issue permits, and then retaining walls fall over. It's up and down the road. And again, this isn't directed at you. It's a systemic problem. Yeah, it's just, this is what we get, we build things where they don't belong. Water's been running off Sodom Road for a long time before we had people.
I think it was a cat, he was a cat.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was, I don't know.
You know,
I
and
never
it-
met him, I saw his truck.
yeah, and this, well, whatever it is, I mean, he made a lot of money selling a lot of land that was, taxed free for a long time, whatever it was. But this is not the last one. I mean, there's all those, I drive up that road all the time. It's gonna be a mess. Give me job security for,
If I may, through the chairman.
You sure?
Population's expanding, Jason. There's limited land left.
I get it.
These properties are entitled, or landowners are entitled to do things in the buffer zone in a manner that we regulate through the issuance of orders of conditions. So, although I understand your concerns, but that's what land is left in the community. So I guess we have to be very specific and do our due diligence to make sure we have specific orders of conditions that help to control these future.
I will vote in favor of it. I'm not here to jam anyone up.
No, but
it's-
I
No,
do
because
understand.
The homeowner is now stuck.
The homeowner's stuck.
With
Exactly.
what these
Yeah.
developers are doing in town, and,
The land is questionable what we have remaining in the community, and
eventually, some of these developers should have some morals and put a little bit of morals over the dollars they make. I sound like a Democrat, but that's whatever.
Yeah, the original plan was actually done for him, though.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
yes, they were.
Yeah, and he's taking the money and he's run. And
Yep.
now we're rebuilding retaining walls.
And we'll continue to rebuild retaining walls.
So, right.
All right, any questions from the audience? Questions from the table or comments? So if we make a motion, we're gonna make a contingent on,
File number,
file number and that the roof runoff be addressed and inspected before the project continues.
okay.
So, does anybody wanna make a motion? Bill?
All right, so I'll move to approve the plan for the reconstruction of a retaining wall at 735 Sodom Road, subject to obtaining a file number, that a entrenched hay bale silt fence combination be utilized, and that all roof runoff will be diverted away from the area that is being reconstructed, and that activity shall be completed and approved by the conservation agent prior to commencement of rebuilding of the retaining wall.
Do you have any specifics on how you want the stormwater handled, or do you want Chris to deal with it in the field with the engineer or the end user?
No, I would.
Defer to Chris?
How they go about redirecting it.
Okay.
I think should be subject to Chris's approval.
Okay. You got that, Chris?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second,
Thank you, Bert. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
vote
then.
in favor for it for the homeowner because he's saddled with
Yeah.
problems now that poor building is leading to.
All right. Thank you.
That's why I voted for it.
Same way. It doesn't.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right. Go. Certificate of compliance, Borrego Solar, 202 Pine Hill Road, SE 802457. Anybody here for Mr., we need it, you gonna do that, Chris? Oh. How are you tonight?
My name is Andy Connolly from Fields and Thomas. So I'm here on behalf of the applicant. So I personally did site visits during construction throughout the whole time of constructing the whole project. In our opinion, everything is in compliance. They built it as it was planned.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members, this is Borrego Solar, request for a certificate of compliance for a solar array at 202 Pine Hill Road. Certificate of compliance is being requested by the design engineers. Report date is January 3rd, 2025. The file number for this project was SE 802457. Site visit was also on January 3rd, 2025. The applicant has filed to obtain a certificate of compliance for the solar array and stormwater basin in the buffer zone. The work has been completed according to the plan of record, and all areas are stabilized and functioning in accordance with the engineered plans. You can see in the photo that pretty much the array is established, it is fenced in, proper spacing under the fence has been dictated throughout the length of what is installed. So recommendations, Westport should issue a full certificate of compliance for file number SE 802457 as all work has been completed according to the plan of record.
All right. No questions, correct? All right. Anybody have any comments, questions?
I just think it adds a lot to the aesthetics of the, our part of town and, the lengths that we go to keep this place looking kind of rural and rustic and, not have it become an industrialized wasteland like it'll be when that project renders itself ineffective and they leave it, somebody has to clean it up.
Don't forget clear cutting acreage for solar.
Yeah.
It's environmentally green.
Yeah. So I'm really glad that we get to vote on the certificate of compliance.
I voted against it, so I'll vote against the
Yeah.
certificate of compliance.
Again, I'm not gonna be,
All right, do we have a motion?
vote on this thing.
Well, they did what they said we were going to do, and so I feel obligated to make a motion, and Chris believes they're in full compliance, and that's all they're asking. So I move to issue the certificate of compliance for file SE 802457.
Thank you, Phil. Do we have a second?
I'll second it. I voted for it the first time.
Okay, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Me?
All right, Jake
One
opposed.
opposed. Well, Jake is because he wasn't previously voting in favor of it.
All right, there you go, bud.
You good to go, brother? You're good to go? Thank you, guys. All right, appreciate it.
Okay, Jay Repose, what is that, Kayla? How do you pronounce that? Kalaya? Kayla?
Jay Reposa?
Yeah, Kayla Way?
Kayla Way, yes.
Okay, 1 Kayla Way, SE 801232, certificate of compliance. That's okay.
I don't know what you're getting at.
You thought I was just stuttering?
Yeah. This is an old application that has come to light because of the sale of the property. So this was previously Tim Barrera and Jay Reposa purchased the property in foreclosure. The location is 1 Kayla's Way. This is a request for a certificate of compliance for file number, I didn't even write it, SC 801232. As I mentioned, this dates back to 2004 or 5. Description, the current owner has filed requesting to release an old order of conditions, file number SE 801232. The home was purchased many years ago and the outstanding order was never discovered. Recent sale of the property owner has discovered this old order that had been recorded. All work was completed in 2004, and the work that was allowed was to grade the backyard into the buffer zone. The resource area is off-site, but it happens to be within 100 feet of this activity. Recommendations, Westport Conservation should issue a certificate of compliance for work done in 2004 for file number SE801232 for a J. Reposa Timberera.
All right, do you have any comments, questions, or a motion?
Move to issue certificate of compliance.
Thank you. We have a second.
Second.
Thank you. That was Phil and Bert. All in favor? Opposed? All right.
Extension.
One extension for David Brown, SE 802340, 148 West Beach Road.
Mr. Chairman, David Brown has applied for a extension to his order of conditions, file number SE 802340. Report date is January 3rd, 2025. The site visit was also on January 3rd, 2025. The applicant has filed in advance of the expiration of the order of conditions to request a 3-year extension to maintain the coastal berm constructed behind his home. The home is on West Beach Road, faces the southwest direction, just to the west side of the causeway. Recommendations, Westport Conservation should approve and grant a 3-year extension to file number SE802340 for David Brown, 148 West Beach Road.
Any questions, comments, motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second from Jake and Jason. All in favor? Opposed? All right, that's unanimously on. All right. WB Mason, $17.56 for office supplies. Looking for a motion to approve, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jake, Phil, all in favor? Opposed? All right, that's unanimously on. Chris Capone, mileage, $460.96 total mileage. This goes back pretty far. Jeez. This is the end of October. End of October till the middle of, about 2 months, $460.96. Looking for a motion.
Excuse me.
Motion paid.
All right, motion from Jason, Jake, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's unanimous. WB Mason, 6504, more office supplies. Motion.
Motion approved.
Motion from Jason, do we have a second? Second from Jake, all in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. What is this? What's this for MAC? Oh, yearly dues for MAC. Do we have to vote on this? The dues for MAC?
No, that's just information.
Oh, okay. East Bay Classifieds. There's no bill with, there's no,
That might be just for me to send to her.
okay. Minutes, 12/10/24. Present, let's see, President of the Commission with Jason Powell, Jake McGuigan, myself, Phil, so we can vote on this. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes from December 10th of 2024.
Motion to approve.
There was second from Jason, that was Jake and Jason. All in favor? Opposed? All right, that's unanimous, Let's see, 9/17. Let's see, Jason, Jake, Burton, Tom. Okay, that's not happening.
It's June 11th, right?
June 11th, yeah. Myself, Jason, Jake, and Tom. Oh, gee, that's not happening.
Yeah, Tom, we need Tom.
Tom's gonna get it. You gotta call him in. Get him off the injured reserve list.
The problem is I will be missing the next meeting, so then you'll need me back on that one. I won't
You're gonna be away, that's right.
Yeah, so, nothing to oppose on the next meeting.
All right, so looking for a motion. Do you have something you want to say, Chris?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chairman.
All right, let's
Thank
see.
you for giving me a moment.
Did you have any pancakes this morning? I just want to know. Were they good syrup?
No,
I didn't touch the syrup.
Okay. All right.
After he licks the thing.
All right, you can go. We go back to the meeting now. I just had to know about the syrup. That's all.
Beach management planning RFP went out for the beach management plans for East Beach, Beach Ave, and Atlantic Ave. The consensus was we agreed to award the contract to Woods Hole Group They recently have been granted that awarding, and we'll be working with them to kind of modify this RFP to come to some resolution on what is the best scenarios for these areas. East Beach specifically, with the recent clauses of controversy over where the sand is supposed to go, etc. So we're looking for a little more detail and cost analysis for what potentially could come with those areas. Beach Ave and Atlantic Ave are pretty much a little more stable areas, but they're part of this design and effort to have some sort of management plans for these areas in general. So that's good news in that case. Woods Hole Group has been active in some of the studies done there previously. So we hope to be able to work with some of the information they have and see what we can come to. The second thing I have is just to tune in and give Jason a little more for his fluffing his pillow today, is the 533 Sodom Road is one of these lots that we've had in contentious locations. We required them to put a split rail fence up to limit their work and their limited disturbance. The owners at 533 Sodom Road, Benjamin and Catherine Levesque, have initiated to clear beyond that split rail fence into the close proximity of the wetland and into that 25-foot no activity area that we try to maintain. So I would like the commission just to make a motion to send a letter. Well, we can send an enforcement order. Let me say that, phrase that. I do not have one tonight. I can run upstairs and get it. And issue an enforcement order requesting they come before the board and discuss what the purpose of the split rail fence is, and the property they bought is limited to what they may want to do with it. And they should have looked at that before they bought this limited property, because there is no other land that is usable on this, and that's why the fence was installed. And again, this is the way things have been going from a regulatory standpoint. People are just blatantly, initiating activities without any regard for what may be there. So I think this is important for the commission to continue to try to enforce the regulations, and we can't have people just, working blatantly to advance their property in jurisdictional areas.
Was the fence ever installed?
The fence is there, yeah. They left the fence up and went on the other
So
side
they-
of it and started clearing into the woodland. So,
So what happens when you put a house on a small lot and they want a bigger yard and they're right on top
Are
of
they,
the road?
are they the original owners?
they just purchased the lot from the developer.
Of course.
Usually, in your report, you state that either a stone wall or a split rail fence will be the limit of all work.
Yes.
You articulate that in your
Yes.
reports all the time.
Yes.
So these people haven't owned it long enough to have forgotten what the rules are.
I don't know
Okay.
if these individuals are really given the
I'm sure the
specifics.
developer didn't tell them.
Yeah.
No, so again, for the chairman's sake, he's correct. I think they see what's there and they think they may not even know that there's a wetlands per se, except if you look at the neighbor and look at the other neighbor, you'd say, well, they're not. So,
Part of the problem too is, and I have talked to other people about this, when they close in their house and there's an order of conditions attached to the property, their lawyer, they should be making them aware of what's
what this
there
means.
and what this means.
This entails, correct.
And the lawyers don't do that either. I mean, it's just a systemic failure all the way down the line.
Again,
From the
I
builder
agree
to the
with you.
homeowner,
And
I
never
mean-
mind the cost of what they paid for this property is well more than what I would say that it is worth, but that is the circumstances of limited land. So, yes, I would ask that the commission make a motion to issue that enforcement order. I'll run upstairs.
Have you contacted them already?
No, I have not. I just.
So you're gonna contact them before the letter, just so by the time they get the letter, maybe another week or two?
I can, yes.
Okay. Someone wanna make a motion to send an enforcement action, to have Chris contact them, to let them know to stop?
Do you want to wait till next meeting to issue the
No,
enforcement action?
no, it's fine, we'll do it now.
All right.
So moved.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? All right. So for the record, that's, so Chris is gonna contact him hopefully tomorrow or within a day or two, to tell them to stop. Or you can hand deliver, put a copy on their door, whatever the case may be. And send one to them certified, however we usually send them out.
Yes.
Registered, okay.
That last one, what's gonna happen when the whole porch falls off? I mean, he's gonna have a sinkhole.
They should have came here.
It's all
for the
washed
deck
out
at the
under
same
his
time.
concrete
I-
slab. It's
I-
gonna collapse.
But yeah. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Well, do we have to sign the enforcement order? We have to have an open
What?
meeting when we sign the meeting.
Oh, you do have the,
We approved it already.
But do we have to sign it?
You have to sign it before we close the meeting, or we already approved it, or?
well, you can sign it afterwards. You can-
Yeah, I don't think-
He's coming back.
All right, well, I want, before anybody says
Do you want
anything.
to perform, to sing something?
No, before anybody,
Oh, I know we're
before
on
anybody
hot mic.
flaps their gums.
We're
we
having a
probably-
mic moment. We're good. We're doing it. Saying
I think we covered enough already.
Not yet, hold on.
There it is.
So Chris, we voted to, either, contact them next day or two, hand deliver a copy if they're not home, and just like put it in the door, or whatever, and then send one out the normal way too, just so they know to stop. All right. Anything else, Chris?
No, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, that is all I have.
Motion to adjourn?